Muy buenas noches, Matthew. Gracias por la oportunidad. Es un honor. De hecho, quisiera empezar con hablar de un cortometraje que es muy clásico que tú empezaste, que se llama My Dead Says. Bueno, es sobre el pasado, es sobre lo que tiene que ver en la cuestión del personaje. Yo quisiera preguntarte qué recuerdas sobre eso y también qué opinas sobre el trabajo del director.
What are your thoughts about the short film My Ideal Self and the work from that director? Going early back in your career, man.
It's really nice to meet you guys. Thank you so much for having me. Ask me that question one more time and I got it. I'm so sorry.
Okay. And no, man, it's the honor is ours. And yes, what are your thoughts about the short film But in Those Days, My Ideal Self and the work from that director, man? Yeah, very, very early, man.
I think, it's funny. I think in those early days, anytime you get a chance to make work, you are excited. I think for me, I started in theater. I started on the stage. And so I became comfortable in that landscape, but was always a passionate, lover of film and always wanted to get in that. But I live in Maine. I live in a place that, isn't maybe known for its robust filmmaking community, but we have a wonderful one here in Portland. And so those films, I had the opportunity to work with some really talented people and, I guess get my feet wet. They were okay with a green rookie, a new guy, I guess. And, but I think sometimes you can create some magic when you do those things. And so I always just felt really lucky to get to collaborate with good writers and good people and play. And that's what I feel like independent small films really at their heart allow you to do.
And this channel is for talk about those words made from the heart.
Totally. And we're storytellers, right? That's what we do. And, we're not always good ones. We're not, but I think that's at our heart. That's what we're everybody with the iPhone camera or the fanciest thing in the world, with the biggest budgets, that we're all taking storytelling very seriously. And I think that's really wonderful.
Jhon, continúa.
También hay otro cortometraje que es sobre las relaciones de pareja, pero también en las cuestiones de cómo uno ve la perspectiva de lo que ha cambiado las relaciones en el cine. Te pregunto sobre qué opinas sobre qué tanto han cambiado esos temas y también cómo fue tu experiencia.
Talking about Come to Know, the question is, how do you see, the histories that the filmmakers are doing about relationships on the screen? Of course, comparing it with that war in particular, Come to Know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a really intimate film, intimate piece, where, about a very common relationship in our lives. And so I think that film can do that a little bit more nuanced than sometimes on stage, is that intimacy, that kind of, window up against the glass of these moments in our lives. And so, that was my first opportunity of doing something like that on camera, in like a bedroom scene and a love type scene that had this conversation attached to it. So I actually had worked with that actress in the film, in the theater world, and she's the actress as well. So our chemistry was good in that regard. We were comfortable with one another, and I think that's really critical when you have subject matter like that and in an environment like that.
Antes de que digas tu pregunta y todo, yo quisiera hablar sobre una historia muy loca, pero me pareció muy original. Pues en ese tiempo se hablaba sobre la venganza, pero femenina y todo eso. Entonces, esta historia es bastante particular porque tiene la manera en que todo lo que vemos de los clichés de las películas no están. Es muy diferente. ¿Qué opinas al respecto?
It's crazy because the movie Chief is, we know that there are a lot of cliches in revenge movies with women, but this movie doesn't got those cliches. What can you tell us about your participation in Chief is?
I think every actor needs a she feast on their resume. That fun, kind of gory, but ridiculous but fun, a horror, like a horror type kind of slasher type film. And it was a wonderful group of Portland filmmakers here in Maine, that just wanted to have a blast with that. And I thought it was fun. It kind of reversed it. It kind of took, made the ladies the good guys to some degree, and made and kind of took that sort of flipped it on that script where they could take their power and their femininity and those kind of cliches exactly like you see in those kind of slasher movies and flip it on its head a little bit. And so that film was just a blast. It was just fun. It was tiny budget, long nights, you're sitting in, crazy funky places and industrial areas where you're like, how do we even get the ability to shoot here? But it just was a blast. And it's what it goes to show you, like, you can make really fun, crazy content when you have committed, passionate people that are willing to run around in the freezing cold nights in Maine with fake machine guns and fake blood.
and I'm glad that you see those factors, those things in that movie, and we are talking about it. That's the kind of movie, Jhon,
Exactly.
que de mi parte me gusta que hayas visto esos detalles en la película, lo digo yo. Okay, I was having a conversation, but yeah, Jhon is right, because you talk about that every actor needs a certain type of movie on his resume, and then it's crazy because, yeah, you started bad on those movies that you appreciate, but how do you feel having in your resume a movie that great that as the Tender Barman? I need to know.
I mean, the Tender Bar was one of the best experiences of my career, as I think, frankly, it would be for many people that get to work with, such incredible humans as, Ben Affleck and George Clooney and Max Casella and Michael Braun and, Lily Rabe. And I mean, the list goes on. It was literally, I auditioned for that film in, kind of still the COVID, tail, the first kind of, COVID winter, so to speak. And, excuse me. And you put these things out into the ether and you hope, and you try not to get your hopes up, and then, they come together, and it was just, I felt it was like a dream. It was like surreal every day. You get to go to work with these people, and it was such an incredibly professional set. The amount of preparation, the amount of care that went into every scene in that film. It was truly wonderful. And it felt, it was such a wonderful ensemble of people. You would just, you'd turn around and be like the best, AD in the game, the one of the best cinematographers in the game, and obviously, George behind the helm, and, just really, coercing and really nuanced and wonderful performances. It was just it was a ball. I get to roll around in a Cadillac and go to the beach and sit at a bar and crack jokes and yuck it up with some of the best in the game. And Ty Sheridan was incredible, and Daniel, the young actor who played the younger kid. That was his first film. His first film, it was incredible. And so, I walk away from that, just saying, hey, they don't let me on a film set again. I'm okay. That was a dream.
And it's crazy because we knew about this movie talking with the amazing editor that is Tim Silano, the one that edited Dominion. So he's a big name in Hollywood, and he recommended us. And en fact, ¿cierto, Jhon? Que fue con Tim Silano que hablamos de esta película.
Exacto. Sí, muy bien. No, es una experiencia muy buena, y un saludo para ti. Bien. Y hay una película que la verdad es bastante chévere, que es sobre el terror, sobre las cuestiones de los accidentes que ocurren en las carreteras y todo eso. Pero hay algo distinto, que ahí es la única pregunta que hacen. ¿Será que ven los que han experimentado este filme o estas películas? Entonces me hago la pregunta, y pues te lo pregunto, si alguna vez esta película, alguna de las personas o algo, le han llegado un comentario respecto a ello. No sé, es una curiosidad que tengo.
Pocas palabras, si dejan Loverhouse puede salvar la vida de alguien.
Ajá.
Okay, I love this type of crazy questions on Jhon. Do you think that the Han Loverhouse can save the life for somebody? I mean, because it's about accidents, and the question is that it somehow has reached to you, or the director, I don't know, telling that, oh, that movie really helped me to solve that situation. I know it's a crazy question, but somebody has to do it.
I see. Yeah,
It's crazy.
it is great. No, it's good. I mean, again, though, like, I feel like that film that was a very art imitating life kind of situation, in that we shot in this crazy old haunted home in Hanover, Maine, up in the woods of Maine, and the whole crew was there, and there was like literal paranormal activity while we were shooting it, and it was kind of terrifying, but it created that sort of tone and that setting where you're like, oh man, something like this really could happen. I think anybody, like all of our friends, we have friends that come up from the city or wherever, bigger cities, and they're like, they've watched all those movies where, you pull up to the old house and you disappear, you know what I mean? And so I definitely think there was that was a little close to home, that film, in terms of its creation and our experiences there. We all would leave home at night being like, did that just happen? Was that? Yeah. That was a trip. Corey Norman, the director on that film, is wonderful. He's an educator up here in Maine, and runs the film program in a school in Portland. And it's really fun. And a lot of the people that actually worked on that, I have on the crew, I've run into, and throughout Boston and throughout New York on the Tender Bar and Daddy's Home 2, and these bigger projects. And it's really cool how the reach that his production kind of has in the greater New England film scene, which is cool about that film.
I will break my bow because it's generally, for let the guest told, I never translate, but Jhon needs to know that set was haunted somehow, so I will translate. Jhon, voy a romper. Yeah.
It was totally haunted. It was, yeah. It was. There was some real fear in our eyes in many of those scenes.
Jhon, es que tengo que romper el voto de no traducir porque adivina. Obvio, ¿no? Corey es un gran director y todo el equipo, que de hecho es profesor incluso allá de cine en Portland, y todo el equipo que estuvo acá ha participado en estas otras grandes películas que ha participado Matthew, o sea, como The Tender Bar, pero Jhon, solo te lo diré así, el set sí estaba embrujado. Que sí estaba embrujado. I was telling that Jhon that the set was haunted.
Justo en el terror, aquí tuvimos a Celeste Oliva, y pues en Castro, que es algo que yo he visto pues diferente, algo muy bacano sobre eso. Yo te pregunto, ¿qué parte de usted contribuyó en la parte pues del libro y todo eso porque se inspira en el libro de Stephen King? Pero ¿qué otra obra literaria de Stephen King le gustaría a usted participar? Que diga, uy, me gustaría que aún no se ha hecho, me gustaría actuar en este libro, por si es lector también de Stephen.
Okay, I was talking to Jhon because, we got on the channel the amazing Celeste Oliva. She participated on Castle Rock. Man, Jhon got two great questions, so I will do one by one. The first one, what was as an actor, what was like your apportation, like your work? I read the script or I read the book, but I will suggest, I mean, do you got suggestions from yourself doing that character in that movie? And the second one is, there's like a chapter of the book, that book from Stephen King, or another book from Stephen King that you want to participate?
Oh man, so Stephen King is, he's a Maine guy. He's got some places really close to where I live, and he's a cherished human in our hills. So that is high. It's always high praise and special to get to work on any Stephen King project. I will say that, especially as a Mainer. And Castle Rock was incredible. It was a wonderful, I got to be in an episode of the, the final season, the final episode of the first season. and work with, such incredible actors in that show. And it was a fun day. It was a fun week of shooting because it was like a prison break scene, if you recall. And we got to really rehearse it, which isn't always the case. You don't always get a chance to rehearse things like that, but because of the stunts and because of the drama of it, we really did. So you got to work with the actors a little bit longer than you normally do in those types of scenes, which was wonderful. And I just remember the stunt crews on those. It was this wonderful crew of stuntmen that work with a lot of the Avengers films and so on and so forth, and they just were so in it. They were so committed. It was some of the best work I'd seen. And it was funny. We got during that shoot, we had like a big storm, a big snowstorm that kind of shut us down for a day and a half. And so as we're in the hotel, kind of waiting, for the next day of shooting, all the stunt crew guys were out in the snowstorm practicing their own stunts for like their own other work. And so it was hilarious to just sit in your window and like drink coffee and watch these guys have this crazy elaborate fight scene. But the acting in that show was amazing, and just the attention to detail was just remarkable. I felt so lucky to get to be a part of that film. I love the book. I love the book The Stand. I love that book by Stephen King, and I would love to be in some rendition of that one day. That would be a dream. But he's got so many incredible books that, like, honestly, you could just kind of go like this and pick one, and I'd be excited. I mean, it's just, he has so many rich characters that are often set here in Maine, which is really cool. So I hope we're trying to get tax incentives for our state here in Maine, similar to other states in New England. And my hope is one day maybe we'll get to do one of those films up this way, in that way. But that's definitely a dream. Yeah.
And please, man, let us know, because we got on the channel the amazing Tom Holland that he adapted the book Thinner from Stephen King. So it will be great if you adapt some book. Please let us know.
Oh my gosh, I will, for sure. You guys ever come up to Maine, you let me know. You got people. Okay.
It's one of the dreams that the channel doesn't get only in Colombia. So, well, I know that step by step we will get to Maine.
I love it. You're open invitation anytime. You got people.
Thank you. I will translate that part. Jhon, vuelvo a romper el voto. Le dije obviamente que estuvo Tom Holland, ¿no? Porque es que, y tú sabes que la adaptó Thinner, pues es que probablemente Matthew adapte de Stan. Es uno de los sueños.
Wow, man.
Yo le dije que por favor, si la adapta, no lo haga saber, pero dijo que le gustaría más bien que nosotros estuviéramos en Maine cuando eso pase. No sabemos, puede que sí.
Man, eso va seguro también. Yo sí le digo, a mí me gustaría que él estuviera de pronto, si alguna vez la hacen los Tominokers, man, que la hacen la historia, que él actúe, si lo hiciera, no, si lo hiciera.
Pero no la están, un amigo de nosotros no la está adaptando, una parecida.
Creo que una parecida, sí.
And Jhon, in fact, because if somehow they readapt or do the Tominokers, Jhon wanna see you in that adaptation.
Okay, good. Well, we'll make it happen. Well, it's in the ether now. That's how it works, right? You put it in the universe. That's good. I love it.
Man, and you're right. I think that Jhon 2 years ago got the channel on the ether. Now this is real, man, and we got people like you talking, so it will happen. Jhon dice que está en el éter, va a pasar.
Por favor.
Como estuvo el canal en algún momento, ¿no? Y mira.
Claro. Ahora sí, se viene esta pregunta increíble, que es Alchemy of Experiment. Ven, yo solo le digo, actuar con una leyenda como lo es Sander Berkeley es oro puro. Y también con Sarah Craig, con su esposa. Claro. Pero, yo quisiera preguntarte, ¿cómo fue la experiencia con ellos dos? Acá Sander fue uno de los primeros en el canal, pero ¿qué opina sobre el suspenso, lo que genera esta historia? ¿Qué pensamiento tiene? ¿Cuál es la evolución de ello?
Okay, a big shout out to Sander Berkeley. He was one of the first guests that we got, and of course he's a legend, and of course his wife. So, man, tell us how was working with him in Alchemy of the Spirit, and working in the thriller genre.
One of the joys of living in a small, wonderful community is you get to know your fellow actors up in this way, and I'm so lucky that Xander and Sarah live in Maine now. They actually have a home like 20 minutes from my house. And so we become really dear friends. And so when they asked me to be a part of their film, I just, I would have brought coffee all day for that film. It was just amazing. I love those guys, and they're such talents, such incredible actors and incredible people. But I loved getting to work with them and getting to work on that sort of psychological thriller, with the beautiful the art direction of Steve Balderson and the cinematography of that, and using kind of the old, older, spookier kind of building stock in these smaller rural towns and the landscapes that exist up this way. It was so fun to get to show those off. I was so happy to get to work with those guys on that project. And really, we dream all the time of, more films to come and more work to come. And I feel I pinch myself every day that I get to hang out with Xander up here in Maine and talk film and learn from him, because he's but both him and Sarah are such wonderful performers. I didn't realize they were on the show. That's so cool. I was just chatting with him before we came on. That's funny. It's a small world. I'll tell him you guys said hi for sure. That's awesome.
Please, that's the one I will. In fact, tell this to Sander. Of course, we still got goosebumps that the interview that he did here got like more than 1,000 views. It's one of the most seen interviews in the channel. I hope we get to that followers, but we're still doing it. I know it's hard because it's a channel about ours. And tell him that we miss him and we need Sarah here.
Oh no, you're gonna get there. That's great. I'll tell him. I'll have him shout you guys out for sure. He's a delight. He's a joy. Both him and Sarah. And no, I'm really happy with the success they've been having with that film, because it's well deserved. It's beautiful. It's great that they get to make something together too, because they're such a wonderful team.
We need Sander. We need you, of course, later in the channel, and we need to get Sarah. Oh, I will translate. Jhon, es que incluso antes de esta entrevista estaba hablando con Sander.
Wow, man.
Dice que viva 20 minutos. Dice que obviamente es un sueño haber hecho eso. No, es que le dije que por favor que mandara un saludo a Sander, que le dijera que ya la entrevista de él, tú me corriges, tiene más de 1,000 vistos, mucho más, creo.
Sí.
Y que no, que lo adoramos y que necesitamos a Sarah. Es más, lo necesitamos a los tres.
Exacto.
Todos.
Vamos a ver. Dígale que...
y mándale la entrevista, ¿no? Que él no la ha visto.
Sí.
You guys got to come up to Maine now. You have to come up to Maine. So
Man, I always say this.
A little cold. It's a little cold right now. I want to come down where you guys are.
I always say this, man, because I know Jhon got a really beautiful project. When this channel pops out, or somehow Jhon get the millions, we will go through all the places. In fact, the interviews will not be in the computer. So I know, and if I got the millions, I will be the one that will bring him today. So, Jhon,
we're putting it all in the ethers, guy. I like it. We're putting it in the universe. I love it.
Jhon, que cuando tengamos los millones, sea con lo que sea, toca ir a Maine.
Por supuesto. No, men. Ya por último, estos dos proyectos que se vienen son próximos. Primero, te pregunto, ¿qué es ser una figura paterna y qué tanto es tu amor por los animales?
Man, mixing two projects that will come, father figures and hand dog. What is for you being a father figure? Tell us about your love from the animals.
I think, and I'm sure many people that are parents feel the same way. I think that when you become a parent, it changes your perspective. It changes your life in ways you can never imagine. And I think it changes your art, things that you worried about before becoming a parent. All of a sudden you don't really realize, you wonder why you were worried about that before, because there's such bigger things to care about and to put your energy into. And so I know that I hope, I hope the work shows, but I feel like I became a better actor when I'm becoming a parent. And, the why of the work becomes so much more important. I think we all step into the pitfalls of ego and id and things early on, and the way we look and maybe vanity or whatever. But I think for me, once you kind of had that clean slate of, wow, there's so much more important things out there in the world, especially with children, it made me more hyper focused. So I think about being a dad every time I'm on a set or I get to work, and I think about, if I'm going to be here away from them, it's got to be worth it, and worth it in the sense of my effort and what I give to it, and that's really important to me. And I want to make sure I understand the second part of it. We were asking about animals.
About hand dog and animals.
Yeah, and of course, yeah. No, it was a wonderful film to get to work with, and I love the character that I got to work with, and that I get to perform in that film. And I think it speaks to that I've always I didn't grow up with dogs, but my wife that I've been with a long time. She had dogs in her family, so I feel like I had dogs through her family, and I kind of learned the power of dogs through her. I grew up with cats, and we have chickens, and we live out in the country. We have bees and chickens, and I think that having things in your life, more things in your life that you can care for and give love to, I think is really important, and it reminds us why we do the work we do and why we get up in the morning. And I think it's a good practice. And for me, that's what animals and caring for other lovely beings is really important. I'm a terrible beekeeper. Like I'm not very particular. I need to get so much better at keeping my bees, but I love it because it's like you're keeping a little colony alive, and it's crazy. And same thing with my pets and my daughter rides horses, and I love to see the relationship of that. As like she's only 6, so it's like this wonder that happens. So I think it's you realize pretty quickly when you get to work with it, especially on film, why animals play such a strong, powerful role in so many people's lives. Because I think it's another expression of love, which is always good in this world.
Jhon, qué hermosa entrevista. Un aplauso.
Bravo.
Bravo.
Matthew. No, man. Redes sociales, un saludo para Colombia, a que sigan tu trabajo. Y bueno, muchas gracias.
I'm so grateful, and I'm truly honored to you take your time with me tonight. And I really appreciate you both, and I'm so grateful for your time. Sorry for my lighting. Ooh, dramatic lighting. Now we're going dramatic.
Oh, what a beautiful lighting! And no, man, thank you for you take the time. And talking about time, I don't know how much we got, but the camera is yours. Sell your social media so people can follow you. Send a big hi to wherever you want, the channel, Colombia. And there is a project that people need to be aware. Go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. But I'm kind of bad at the social media stuff. I'm Matt Delamater out in the world, and the Instagram and the Facebook and the YouTube. I'm really excited about this new project I just got to work on with HBO on a show called Julia. Wonderful. Season 2. So season 1 is out on HBO Max now. Definitely check it out. It's incredible. The great Sarah Lancashire plays Julia, and season 2 is amazing. There's some incredible guest stars, and I was lucky enough to get a reoccurring role on it. And it's some of the best actors and crew and costume designers and directors I've ever worked with. Amazing talented folks from the theater world, from the movie world, and coming together to make these really beautiful period pieces that I think people are going to be excited. So check out Julia season 2 on HBO Max come up this spring, and a wonderful, cool film with Liam Neeson, hopefully coming out this time this year, called Thug, which was shot in Boston. I got to have a really fun role in. So, Thug and Julia on HBO Max. Yeah.
Voy a colocar esta parte lo más rápido de la entrevista. Ben, quisiera darte las gracias y muy agradecido por la oportunidad siempre.
I got Jhon, because he told me, that he will wrap up and edit this interview so quickly so he can upload it. So I hope it's right, because it was a beautiful interview. Thank you.
Thank you. It's beautiful talking with you guys. I mean it. You guys are ever up close to Maine, you let me know. You reach out anytime. We'll go have some cervezas with Xander, okay? Come up anytime.
Oh, man. Yes. Of course.
¿Entendiste?
Sí. Dale mis agradecimientos a Ashley.
Buenas noches.
And say a big thank you to Ashley, the one that
Absolutely.
made that.
Yes. Thanks for reaching out, guys. Really, truly.
Good weekend.
Good weekend.
God bless you.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.